of course, deliberated on it, and now it is awaiting for his assent. Today, this morning, that will happen, even though we have members of the opposition, the Jubilee side, saying there's some contentious issues within the clause that needs to go back to the National Assembly for deliberation, where IBC is seeking to have vehicles or vessels that will be used as polling stations. And according to the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, Jeremiah Kioni, this is a way of maybe skimming for rigging a platform with those vehicles. So they want that particular clause deleted. Will the president still go full steam ahead and assent to it? And of course, if they're raising these concerns, does it make any discernible difference? That's the question. Of course, we shall be discussing this and a raft of other issues as well with our panelists here this morning on what we know. Now, there is a blowback as far as the task force for the forensic audit of the public debt is concerned. Now that we have also the court halting it, what is the way forward? Contentious issues has been raised regarding the legality or constitutionality of this particular task force, where we saw also the chair who was to be declining to take that particular offer. That is Faith Odhiambo, the president of LSK. We have a lot lined up for you this morning on that particular front. And of course, we shall be deliberating on these issues much further in the course of the program. But for now, let's see how the dailies are faring as far as what is fresh off the press today. We begin with the Standard, that this is what you're waking up to the front page of the Standard. Patience runs thin on Ruto reform pledges is what is on the front page of the Standard today. Time back, Kenyans are waiting with bated breath on the call by the president to shuffle his cabinet, even as some of his measures, such as auditing the country's debt, fly into headwinds as Kenyans question legality of more proposals. You have a story on page 4 of the publication today, and Gen Z's plan with military precision. Intern doctors, other medical practitioners, and the Gen Z's protest outside the Ministry of Health headquarters in Nairobi during the Occupy Ministry of Health protest yesterday. Gen Z has revolutionized digital mobilization beyond previous generations' imaginations. And you have a story there on they've not really shown the page, but it's inside the Daily Nation, or the Standard, I should say, this morning. And you can see how also they came out in force yesterday, protesting outside the Ministry of Health, that is Afi House. State to pay 10 million shillings for Pakistani killing. The government will now have to compensate the family of slain Pakistani journalist Arshad Sharif, who was shot dead by police in Kajiado after the court found the police to have acted in an unconstitutional manner. The story is on page 10 of the publication today. Also, pressure mounts for IBC reconstitution. Human rights activists, Gen Z protesters, and political parties are pushing for the need to fast-track reconstitution of IBC, and pressure is now on the president. This story on page 9 of the publication today. Also remember, get all the wiser today as far as Financial Standard is concerned. Ruto's double-edged austerity sword is all that is tucked away inside the Financial Standard, that comes in handy for you every Tuesday inside the Standard. Gachagua, wife sulk over reduced office budgets. You have a story on page 8 of the publication today. Gachagua, wife sulk over reduced budget. That is what we have also inside the publication today. And she had listed the church among alternative financiers of her boy child empowerment program after budget scrapping. And you can read the rest of the details on page 8. France limbo after Macron gambles or gamble flops. That is on page 34 of the Standard today. AG role in trade deals queried. That is on page 32 of the Standard. And rivals stutter are the sound of faith. You have a story on page 45 of the publication today. This is how it looks. Make sure you grab a copy for all those riveting stories inside the publication today. How we fled is what is on the front page of the Daily Nation today. Turning point, President Ruto concede to demands to reject the tax bill. On Tuesday, June 25th, just after MPs had passed the controversial Finance Bill 2024 against intense public pressure, youthful protesters who had been kept off the National Assembly precincts for most of the day breached the security and fence of the hallowed August House. For MPs who were in the premises, all hell broke loose as they sought to escape the protesters' wrath. Some of the lawmakers narrate to nation the events of a fateful day, and this is on page 6 and 7 of the Daily Nation today. Millie Odhiambo, Suba North Member of Parliament, said, "I found one woman MP who had despaired and was just seated where she would have been an easy target. The confusion in the tunnel is a story for another day." Didmus Baraja, Kimilili MP, "I had one of the youth identify me as the usual MP in a cap. I was behind other MPs, but was among the first to arrive at Bunge Tower. I saw death with my eyes." Bishop Jackson Koskei, a nominated Member of Parliament, saying, "They knew who I am and even knew how I had voted, but they told me that I was a good man and asked me to allow them to escort me out of the building." And of course, you can see the billows of smoke there when Parliament was going up in flames. Now, these renovations will cost 150 million shillings to restore Parliament to, of course, its original state. And that story, you can follow it on page 6 and 7 of the publication today. Gachagua isolated, at home and away. Lawmaker Eric Wamumbi demand Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua claims to have helped clinch the Madira seat is the latest leader in Mount Kenya to bolt out of DP's camp. This story is on page 9 of the publication today. And controversy, fuel levy. Murkomen trades with caution over increase. The Ministry of Roads proposed that the levy be increased from 18 shillings per litre of super petrol and diesel to 25 shillings per litre. But the proposal, if adopted, is set to increase pump prices to 196.84 and 108.80 and 10 cents per litre of super petrol and diesel, respectively. In Nairobi, prompting the government to take a cautionary stance even as it remains keen on increasing the levy. And you have a story on the back page of the Daily Nation today, though we have also the CS stoutly denying that this will go up. It doesn't make any lick of sense, because if this goes up, of course, the fuel prices are bound to go up. This has been very vehemently debated on social media, and you can follow the story inside the publication today. Not off the hook yet, Obado children to face graft case today. The hearing of a graft case against former Migori Governor Okoth Obado and his children will begin this morning after it was adjourned yesterday following a hitch over some documents to be used in case. And also, Lord Ruto over debt team. As we mentioned, the court halted the task force. President William Ruto was yesterday dealt a blow after the High Court temporarily suspended the independent task force he appointed last week to audit the public debt. Justice Lawrence Mugambi blocked the task force from embarking on the job following a petition by Nakuru-based surgeon Dr. Magare Gikenyi and Mr. Elud Matindi, who argued that the president assumed powers outside the constitution. You have a story on page 4 of the Daily Nation. 11 members of Presidential Task Force on Forensic Audit of the Public Debt. That is how the team is constituted, and High Court has halted the team's work. Follow that story inside the Daily Nation today. Let's pick up the People Daily. Why days are numbered for Ruto advisors. Faces of some top state councillors on the edge are here as well. Remember, those offices are actually raking in or taking away 1.5 billion shillings. It's all about austerity. Officials find themselves uneasy after President directs that government shall reduce their lot by 50% with immediate effect. On page 6 of the publication today is where you can see that story, where it is well fleshed out for you. Devin D, Chair, Council or Economic Council. We have Nancy Laibuni, Advisor, Agriculture. We have Dominic Menjo, Advisor, Food Security. Henry Rotich, Advisor, Fiscal Policy. Monica Juma, Advisor, National Security. Eden Mohammed, Advisor, Strategy Execution. Harriet Chigai, Advisor, Gender. Abdiguluye, Advisor, Animal Production. You remember that face, of course, was one of the commissioners at the IEBC. European elites resume contest. tantalizing. Spaniards come up against favourite France in Euro 2024 first semi-final, and that story is inside on page 32. Why state is unable to crush Gen Z protest? You can read all about it on page 7. And Gachagua, a man at war with Ruto men. On page 4 is where the story is tucked away. Gachagua atorokwa nyumbani mbali na kupingwa na Ishungwa, Ndindi Nyoro na Kuria. Sasa mbunge wake pia amemhepa. You follow the story on page 2, and of course there was such an exchange between him and the Member of Parliament, especially regarding the alcohol situation in the area. And he says wabunge wa Mlima Kenya wanaomtoroka Gachagua wadai ana kiburi na anataka kuabudiwa, ila wadadisi wa siasa eneo hilo nao wanasema vita vyake dhidi ya pombe haramu na kufeli kwake kuboresha mapato ya kahawa na majani chai ndiko kuna mla naibu rais. You can follow the story on page 2. And there was such an exchange between him and his Member of Parliament also on social media regarding his high-handedness, as they put it. Ripoti yaanika jinsi jamii mbili za tawala Ketrako. There's a report there where the Kalenjins and Kikuyus are dominating the Ketrako stuff. You could follow this story inside Taifa Leo this morning. And Euro, Uhispania na Ufaransa ni nusu finali ya piga uai. That is the story that you want to follow inside the publication this morning, Taifa Leo. Let's back it down to some business. Vodafone books 5 billion shillings lost from M-Pesa cash farm sale. That is what is on the front page of the Business Daily today. M-Pesa holding was sold to Safaricom last year. Multinational says no related funds interests have left Kenya. UK multinational Vodafone Group PLC says it has recorded a loss of 37 million euro dollars there from the sale of the company holding M-Pesa funds to Safaricom at a token price of, that is, $1 million, 128 million shillings. The loss represents the transfer of a valuable subsidiary, M-Pesa Holding Company Limited, for almost nothing in a deal that is part of a years-long plan to put Safaricom in charge of the critical aspects of the mobile money platform. The rest of the details, they all disclosed inside on page 2 of the Business Daily today. Kenya erects fresh hurdle for Uganda fuel imports. Kenya has thrown a fresh hurdle on Uganda's direct fuel import scheme, doubling the bond fee for imported consignments destined for Kampala to $45 million. And Kerry misses target by 276 billion shillings on lower corporate profits. Missed its target for the full year ended June by that particular figure. And you can follow it on page 5. Listed insurers book 1.2 billion shillings gain on new accounting rule. That is the story on page 8. And shilling gains cuts Kenya's external debt by 926 billion shillings. Kenya's external debt shrunk by that particular figure in 3 months too much as the shilling recouped its value against major foreign currencies. And that is good news. You can follow the story on page 14 of the Business Daily today. Furniture imports hits 8.7 billion shillings, defying steep Ruto taxes. And this continues on page 2 of the publication today. Let's see how Ugandans are faring. And of course, they decry the fact that Kenya now is raising new hurdles on the oil flow. Cheap UNOC oil flows into Kenya tax storm. Pipe dream, that's what the sub-headline is questioning or asking. Ugandans told not to expect reduced pump prices after the Nairobi government unexpectedly raises the bond fee at Vitol Terminal, where Uganda National Oil Company is expected to offload its 90 million litres of fuel. And of course, remember, this was the biggest row between Kenya and Uganda, where Uganda was opting out of this particular deal. We are yet to see how this will pan out. Is this also the pressure that has been borne upon the government currently with the Gen Z and the new austerity measures? So it could be a way also of raising revenue. And this is on page 3 of the Daily Monitor. Suspected ADF commander charged, remanded This is Abubakar Swale, a suspected Allied Democratic Forces rebel leader, following proceeding at Buganda Chief Magistrates Court in Kampala yesterday. Swale, together with his yet-to-be-arrested accomplices, were charged with terrorism financing, and you have a story on page 2 of the publication today. Enanga, police spin master who tickled Ugandans. You have a story on page 6. And Besigye calls out Museveni on corruption. That story on page 4 of the Daily Monitor today. Also remember, you have your Rainbow Kiswahili teachers call for enrollment in primary schools. That is the story. In Tanzania, government sugar farms settle differences. The government, through the Minister of State in the President's office that is planning an investment, Professor Kitila Mukumbo, yesterday met with local sugar producers, with the two sides addressing 6 critical issues within the industry and, of course, outlining a way forward. You can read the rest of the details inside the publication. And stage set for legal battle over TLS poles. Traders go on strike at key bus terminal as RC reassures them. You can follow the story inside the publication today. More services land up in payment system, says Bank of Tanzania on page 3 of the publication today. Mwarimutse, good morning, Rwanda. And there is a New Times, Rwanda's economic growth journey 30 years on. Rwanda has been deliberate about creating a business-friendly environment for investors. This story on page 3 of the New Times today. Over 200,000 primary school candidates start national exams, and you can see them. We have the Minister there of Education, Gaspard Twagirayezu, distributing exam papers to the candidates, I should say, as he presided over the 2023-2024 primary leaving examinations launched at Group A, Skolei Gisozi in Gasabo district. According to the NESA, a total of 202,999 candidates, 91,189 males, 111,812 females from 3,644 schools have started national exams from yesterday, and that will go on until tomorrow. And we wish them success in Rwanda. Youth parliamentary candidates kick off campaigns in Musanze and Rwanda at 30, the evolution of education. This is the New Times in Rwanda. I will show you what we have on the front page of the East African this week, and of course also other publications, The Economist, the Newsweek as well, and other international publications. But for now, let's get down to the stories of the day. But I'll be remiss if I don't invite over Farah Malim just to give him a hearty welcome as well this morning. Farah, good to see you.
Good to see you, Dibal.
You're well?
Yes.
Yes, so we look forward to hearing from you a raft of other issues as well. Today is a big day also for the IBC bill. That everyone is eagerly awaiting to see the president assenting into it.
Yeah.
Though we have, as I mentioned earlier, that the Jubilee Party is raising some reservation and hesitation regarding the fact that we have clauses there where they want to use mobile, vehicles, vessels as polling stations. And they're saying, they've not really been very categorical if it's a need. It's by need basis, it should be everywhere. So they're questioning the reason behind it, and they see maybe it's fraught with ideas behind of rigging that.
To begin with, I want to thank you for welcoming me.
Yes.
I think this more or less targets pastoralist and nomadic communities more than anything else. Or in the event there are issues beyond our capacity to mitigate, like if there are floods or if there are, you know what I mean, other natural phenomena.
Yes.
Then of course you can have a mobile voting booths.
Yeah. But it seems that is not really specified. And
No.
That is their worry.
The overall principle behind it is to allow everybody to have an opportunity to vote, including those ones who are indisposed because of either their way of life or because of certain calamities. Not calamities, but certain changes in the weather or other things. So I would want to wait a little bit for us to be able to internalize this thing so that it becomes very everybody gets to understand it. But I also agree, if you have certain fears, then those fears must be put to rest also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that is reached, I think it's way too late. Have we crossed the Rubicon as far as it's on the president's table?
It will be assented. There's no question about that from the look of things. But I don't read any mischief in that. I look at it within the context of it's an independent body, by the way, the IEBC, and it's within the context of that universal suffrage. Everybody has got to have an opportunity to vote in their own conditions and their own situations and their way of life notwithstanding. Because if somebody is nomadic, he's here today, tomorrow in another place, you could find a center is fully populated, but because of certain weather changes, people have moved to other places. So mobile voting booths are, in my opinion, it's an improvement from the past.
Right, and of course also, I would love you at some point to clarify, because I can see you're making rounds on social media, some statements you made that are deemed to be a bit inflammatory, and people wondering, is this really coming from Farah?
No. You know,
so it's been the transliterations there that have been given, and it seems we'll ask you about that at some point.
Yes. It's all editing, you know what I mean, and cutting and pasting and taking a word from here, another one from here, and putting it together. There's a lot of nonsense there.
Really?
And It's Somalis basically who would do that, and for other reasons. I mean, because I also weighed in pretty much on the politics in Somalia. So
you're saying it's been edited? It's not the true picture of what you say.
It's not the true picture. It's not the true picture. The one thing I said is that, look, when you have a failed state.
But you said this was an attempted coup.
In a sense, when you say that you're taking over State House, you're occupying State House, and you're occupying Parliament, two constitutional institutions that are a bedrock of the stability of the country and the democracy that we practice, which is essentially what we do every 5 years to determine who are going to be the people who will run the system. And then you come and take it over. That is a coup. There's no question about that. You understand my point? And God forbid, I'm actually trying to sound serious alarms in saying that, look, this headless sort of thing, you more or less call that it's a popular movement, it's a revolution. We've seen it in many places. And you've seen it in Sudan, we've seen it in Syria, we've seen it in Iraq, we've seen it in Yemen, we've seen it in Somalia. You understand my point? And the results are always invariably devastating. Young people are the ones who are out in the streets in Sudan calling for Thawra. Thawra, you know what Thawra is? A revolution, a revolution, a revolution. And you can bet anything. None of those children are in their homes right now, and many of them most likely have lost their lives, because 2 million people have lost their lives, 15 million people have been displaced. The country is in a mess. I mean, it changes. In Mogadishu, when people started demonstrating against Siad Barre, and Siad Barre was saying, give us time, I am going to leave the place, let us have a way of having a transition. And people say, no, we must arrest him. We must arrest him and must bring him to book. You get my point?
Yes.
It's similar to what basically they're saying, Zakayo Shuka, you know, Ruto out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. And you know what happened eventually? Let me tell you one thing. People don't like the truth. I have always spoken the truth all my life myself. You know what happens eventually? In that same Somalia, do you know who took over? The camel herders, the cattle herders, those people out there who have never had schools are the ones who came and destroyed the urban people and took over the system. And that's what Somalia is grappling with up to now.
All right.
So basically, there is, when I say that you can show your distrust, you can demonstrate out there.
But
you cannot occupy the seats of government.
Yes. So let me but and ask you.
Yes.
So you say that if you are the president, and God forbid that you are not, this were your words.
No.
That you'll have slaughtered 5,000.
Listen to me.
5,000 of the Gen Zs?
No. Let me tell you, our children were there. You listen to me carefully. And it's a bit of nonsense. There's quite a bit of that editing. You understand my point?
Yes.
And a lot of nonsense. That 5,000, hang on a minute. That 5,000 was more or less in line with what I said when, you know, there was a book being launched. And the book itself was launched by the chairman of the former Electoral Commission just across the border on the other side. And I told them, listen.
So this was in Somalia?
Yeah, of course. This is all talking about Somalia. This whole thing, nonsense, is basically put together one way or the other to try and give that thing. It's a lot of that editing, a lot of copying and pasting and the rest of it. But I can tell you one thing that I will always stand by.
So you didn't say that you will slaughter 5,000 of the Gen Z?
No. I said, anytime these things were attempted, there was a serious slaughter. Very, very serious slaughter. And it happened in Sudan, it happened in Somalia, it happened in the Yemen.
Hey, just a moment.
It happened in the Yemen, yeah? It's happened everywhere where an attempt was made to try and forcefully take over the seats of the government and the institutions. And those countries do not even have the working democracy that we have. You understand my point? It didn't have those working democracies. You know, right now, the one reason that Donald Trump would not, in a sense, likely be barred by the Supreme Court is because of being seen to have supported Occupy Congress that time. I don't know if you remember that. You see, you can't do that. So basically what I'm saying is that we can demonstrate, we can show our disgust, we can show everything, but let us we are a constitutional democracy, by the way, let me tell you one thing. The business of trying to use anarchy and chaos and the masses out there to try and create a revolution does not go down very well anywhere. It never succeeds. At the end of the day, you have a failed state, and when you have a failed state, it's a free-for-all. And me and you, listen to me carefully, me and you and our brothers here would be the first ones who are going to run away from our own homes because they'll be taken over by young people who are most likely dropouts in the schools and the rest of them, rural folks. So what I'm basically trying to say is that, look, let us keep on engaging in the dialogue that we engage in. Let us keep on talking about the future and the rest of it. Let us express everything, but allow the instruments of what do you call, of democracy and the Constitution to work itself. Let's have a peaceful transition.
All right.
You understand my point? But to say that we will occupy this, occupy that, is in my opinion, it's a coup.
But what do you do with a state that does not listen? No matter what petitions you use, you come up. What is the wisest of fashion to actually raise your hesitation and protestations?
That always happens until you wait and you give it a resound. Look at what happened in the UK right now. Rishi Sunak was there. You understand my point? From being a party
we're diametrically different from the
UK.
No. In terms of democracy.
No, we have a similar democracy. We started the Westminster, we got into the executive one, but we have also had a democracy, a form of democracy. It might have not been as perfect as it is in other places, but Rishi Sunak became the most unpopular prime minister. And the Tories lost massively now. But did you ever hear somebody say, occupy what do you call House of Commons? Occupy number 10 Downing Street? Occupy the Minister of Foreign Affairs, occupy number 11. No, you don't do that, because that basically means you are trying to destroy that constitutional order.
Thank you.
And let me tell you one thing. I have always spoken my mind. I might be, politically incorrect right now, and a lot of people out there who are excited about these things and think that I've seen that kind of excitements before. Let us use stability and let us get rid of whoever we want to get rid of as a nation, using the instruments of democracy and progressively, and keep on engaging in dialogue. But when you say occupy this, occupy that, be my guest. You want to do it? Let's see. But I know that.
So that statement still, you saying it has been, according to your assessment, it has been. You didn't say that you massacre 5,000 of the Gen Zs if you are the president.
I never mentioned Gen Z. I never mentioned any Gen Z. Listen to me carefully.
Of the protesters?
No. I actually talked about this thing was pretty much in line with the Somali situation. Yeah? In here, we just said we need to have the upholding of the rule of law. You get my point? Rule of law. But of course, the people who are interested in anything you do, they do their own changes, cut and paste, and put it in like that. I mean, it's been done to me many times in the past. Let me tell you one thing. It doesn't bother me 1 inch. But for my own position and opinions, and what I hold myself, what I believe in, I have never made a secret of that. By the way, I was the only opposition member of parliament, basically one of the most active members of parliament at a very young age, and everybody else from my region was in Kano that time. So And that time, we didn't have the kind of the window of what you call freedom that we have right now, and democracy we have right now. Right now, we are way, leaps and bounds from that. And still, even then, I never shied from giving my opinion and my positions on something. For somebody to think that I can be cowed into anything, no.
Right,
when I believe in something, I'll tell you I believe in these things, and that's, you don't like it, of course. That's why we all have the freedom of thought and freedom of expression and freedom of something. But then, I never called for anything like violence in our area here. No. I am against violence. I'm actually saying, let us not give anybody the excuse for violence to become widespread in here. Let me tell you one thing. And the tipping balance is very, very delicate. You get my point.
All right, thank you.
People will be excited right now, but that's it.
Thank you. Let's hear from other panelists who are here as well. Congo Mogini and Dan Marzo. We're eagerly waiting to be joined by Geoffrey Ruko as well. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
When I see you in a tie and a coat, I know it's serious business today.
The Senate is on session, yeah?
Yeah.
The Senate is on session.
It's on session today.
As we didn't run away
from the people.
How we fled.
The rest fled.
How we fled.
And you know, Fred Faramali voted yes.
From the Speaker's parliament. I deliberately chose not to be there on that particular.
Dibal, listen to me. I voted yes. If I have to vote tomorrow again, I'll vote yes. If I have tomorrow, the day after tomorrow for that bill, I'll vote yes. And I will explain the reason why. I don't subscribe to the stupidity of thinking that you can control my free thoughts. You understand my point? What is democracy about? Tell me why I voted yes.
We have had enough of
and I'll explain about that. Listen to me carefully.
No, we don't have to defend yourself, Farah.
For somebody,
he had already got, he was a captured mind. He's already a slave.
Look.
He's already a slave.
No, Dan.
He's the slave of William Ruto.
Dan, between me and you.
He's a slave.
Between me and you, we know who is a slave. Between me and you. Listen to me carefully. Between me and you, we know who is a slave.
Okay.
The person who is a slave is the person who comes in.
Excuse me, Farah.
You have given us examples of democracies.
Yes.
And you know, it's because of you that this country was forced to even have a national dialogue committee.
Yes.
Because of the misbehaving members of parliament like yourself.
What do you call misbehaving?
Because you belong to a party.
No. What do you think as a member of parliament?
Give us time.
Give me time to.
You belong to a party. You belong to a party called Wiper.
Yes.
That party has structures of bringing members together. They hold discussions. They make a decision on how they should vote. But because you have this, and you are my friend, I have a lot of respect and regard for you. But you have this mentality that you can never survive unless you are in bed with the government of the day. You contribute to passage of very bad laws. You know, if you look at the bills that were read before the Senate last week, one of them is proposing to set up the to amend the Political Parties Act, Section 33, to introduce a new commission. So that, people want to shift parties. Instead of staying in Wiper and you are voting with UDA, you tender your resignation, go back to your constituency and be voted under UDA. Nobody will ask you. But you cannot be getting directives from State House to pass very unpopular legislations, and then you tell Kenyans that you have your own mind. Even if you go to US, even now as we speak, people who have not followed the ideals of that particular party are not even given tickets to run under that party. So we must have party discipline, the ban. If we do not have this problem of people being elected on an opposition coalition, and then they shift to work with government, we would not be where we are. We would have had a strong parliament with majority members willing to put a stop to the passage of some of these very unpopular legislations. And I'm horrified to listen to Honorable Farah this morning that he's saying he has no apology for passing very, very unpopular taxation laws, the BAL. I mean, really, if we want to build a strong democracy, you will say, just breathe in and out.
Yes.
Yeah, don't worry. If we need to build a strong democracy, the BAL, we must have a democracy that appreciates that when you vie for an elective seat, there will be government side and there will be the minority side. If you are on minority side, your role should be to check the government of the day, critique where they're making mistakes, with the hope that in the next election, you will form government, just like what Keir Starmer has done in the UK. Keir Starmer was a former DPP, okay? When he took over the Labour Party, his concern was not to support Conservative pass their very unpopular legislations. His aspiration was to build a strong Labour Party, which he has done. In an election that was done last week, in a House of Commons of 650 members of Parliament, he won 412, a massive vote of confidence on the Labour Party. And that's what we need to do, Dibal. But if we support this culture being propagated by my good friend Farah Malim, where you go to bed with government of the day, you receive directions, vote this way, you just say yes, yes, we are going to destroy this country. Indeed. You know, we have barely survived, and we have been given a second chance. And if you talk to Kenyans out there, their enemy number one is a member of parliament. And that is being caused by the conduct from a very senior member like Honorable Farah Malim. That should not be allowed to happen.
Can I say something, Deba?
No, let's hear from Dan Mazo. Dan Mazo, why have you not disciplined Farah Malim? He's your vice party leader, isn't it? Deputy party leader.
Yes.
He's still holding that position?
Yes, he is.
Despite the fact
because
that you're a Democratic Party.
We are a Democratic Party, we are patient.
But what about party discipline? I thought you've heard what Honorable Senior Counsel Okongo Morgan is saying regarding party discipline and deeming.
The neck of Wiper is going to meet tomorrow. And that will be one of the major topics.
That will be one of the major topics. Yes, we have ODM who have actually indicated that they are going to initiate recallings of the MPs who voted yes.
6 of them.
6 of them.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is part of aligning with the party policies on party, stand on issues to do with public interest, like the finance bill as well.
We're going to deal with that tomorrow, Dibal, as a neck.
Hasn't Farad been a rebel within Wiper Party for the longest time?
He was very strong initially, but I'll tell you what happened to the country. Immediately after elections, Azimio had 7 members higher than UDA in the National Assembly. But that's where, we fail in our democracy. You see, in the US, the president now has a minority. He has a minority in the Congress, and he has a majority in the Senate. And therefore, none of the people elected under Republicans have shifted to go to Democrats so that they can support the government. They have checked the American government very seriously, so and that has balanced things. Unfortunately, Kenya isn't like that, and Africa generally politics.
It appears
like
Farah Malim is untouchable within Wiper Party.
No.
We would love to know why. Farah Malim, it appears that you're untouchable within you as a deputy party leader.
Look.
Is it because...
Look, I am the only member in this place here. I'm one of the very few members of parliament in this country who can disagree with every party leader and still come to parliament.
When did that happen?
It's happened now.
But you've been out for a while.
No, I was, by the way, let me tell you.
No, that's a fact.
Can I say you've been talking all this time?
It's good to have to say facts.
You've been talking all this time. And Omogeni, the problem I get with you, don't behave like an activist yourself. You're a respected person.
No,
was her serious position.
You're misleading Kenyans.
That you have not lost an election.
You want me to keep quiet so that you can... You see, he doesn't want me to talk.
Okay. Let Farah execute his point.
Let me tell you. I came into parliament the first time in 1992 on a Ford Kenya ticket. You can imagine, on a Kanu zone. I was one of the founder members of Safina. I've come on ODM. I'm on Wiper now. And by the way, everybody knows. There's not a time, maybe in 2002 by a very small margin, when I announced my candidature very late. Yeah? Yes. In every other election, I was rigged out and I won with a big margin. And the only person who can pick up the Holy Quran, and I even ask the people who came in, can you swear that you defeated Farah? And they will not be able to do that. Now let me tell you one thing. I have perfected the independence of an individual's conscience and mind, myself. I will agree when I'm convinced. I will disagree when I'm not convinced. He says that you've gone to bed with William Ruto. I opposed William Ruto, by the way, in the last elections. And I got 23,000 votes for Raila, when he did not even have a single agent. I spent millions of my own resources to have agents for him everywhere. Listen to me carefully. And I did not have to gain a thing. He's from Ukambani. I'm in Waipa. The total number of votes which are there from Ukambani in my constitution are about 30, who are basically people who have been with me all my life there. And I assist them with the fees of their children throughout, as a responsibility. So, for me, it's my people. If I go tomorrow with any party, I will either get elected on the merits of my personality or not. Nothing to do with, but can he now say that Kalonzo is wrong and hope to come back to parliament? Dan Manzo, he can never. Can he say that Raila is wrong and disagree with Raila and come back to parliament? I'm talking about Omogeni.
Who, me?
I'm telling you, yes, I know very well how. But don't forget that I was in Nodium, I was in Ford Kenya. Listen to me carefully.
You talk about...
But I'm talking now. I have my opportunity to say something.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Let him talk about his
listen.
Nyamira politics.
Let him finish. Let him finish. Yes, Farah. Finish.
I want to finish.
Finish now.
I don't go to bed with anybody. I vote my conscience. You understand my point? I take positions on the basis of my conscience. I've done it for 32 years. I'm not just about now to do it differently, by the way. And I'm not cowed by anything. I have never taken material resources from anybody in my political life. I'll tell you why. I'll explain to you why. Because, by the way, let me tell you one thing, and I want you to know this thing. You see the Somali members of parliament who are there? You understand my point? One of the most expensive elections in this country are the elections of Northeastern Province. An MP no MP will use less than 120, 150 million to come to parliament. You have to be a successful businessman who is well-resourced for you to be able to have the kind of people around you.
Which shouldn't be the case.
They will not, hang on a minute, let me tell you. They will never go and ask for handouts, all of them. They can ask for business, by the way, let me tell you. They ask for business, but they don't go and ask for handouts.
All right.
And that goes across the board.
All right.
Listen to me carefully. Everybody you know comes from a business background. Everybody you know from the Eastern Province right now who is in parliament. Now, can I tell you one thing? Personally, I know the reason. Ask me why I voted yes, I'll explain to you. And I've done that on many, many fora. And I'll keep doing it. If you can convince me otherwise, I'm willing to change my mind if you can convince me otherwise. But don't come with this, claptrap of, oh, you've gone to bed with this, oh, you have done these things. No, nonsense. I don't go to bed with anybody. I've got my own bed. And I have my own area. And nobody in my opinion is a king for me to count out.
All right, thank you.
The strongest president in this country was Moi. Before that was Jomo. I was not there during Jomo's time. I was a young man. But Moi was there, and I never count out to anybody. So when you tell me that I'm going to bed with the guy, no, I am literally taking a position because I'm convinced this position is right. You think otherwise? Go and destroy this country and we'll come and talk about me and you in another 3-4 years' time when we're all refugees somewhere else. And when I tell you don't do this thing, don't get excited slowly. It's not a football match. When somebody goes and scores a goal and then you keep on celebrating outside there. No, this is serious statecraft. We are looking at the future of this country, territorial integrity, the unity of this country, the peace of this country, the future of the future generations. Let us not make the mistake of anarchy that basically has destroyed many other countries in the past.
Let's finalize it. You wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Briefly.
First, I wanted to correct Mheshimiwa Farah. Me and you have been friends for long.
Very long.
You have vied many times.
Yes.
It's good to appreciate that the decision of electing or not electing is a preserve of your constituents.
The people there.
I agree you were elected in 92, but it's a fact that you lost in 97.
I did not.
It's a fact that you lost in 2002. It's a fact that you won in 2007.
Yes.
It's a fact that you lost in 2013.
Yes.
It's a fact that you lost in 2017.
Yes.
It's a fact that you won in 2022.
Yes.
Those are facts. Okay?
Yes. Go on.
Two,
Go on.
it's a fact, Farah, that if we want to build strong democracies, we must have members of parliament who have integrity, who appreciate that there will always be government side, And for our case, there will be the majority and the minority side. And if you're a good leader, you should be a team player, not a lone ranger. Because if your party caucuses makes a decision that these laws are punitive to Kenyans, these taxation measures are punitive to Kenyans, yes. If you are a good team player, yes. We expect you to be part of the team. If you are in Azmio and we get elected with a majority of 175, Kenyans have given us a mandate to checkmate on the government of the day. If you are a good team player, Honorable Farama, Halim, you should stick to your lane. Be a member of the minority side. Provide oversight and checks and balances over the executive. What will happen if all of us start adopting your ideology that we can make decisions the way we want, we can vote the way we want? I mean, there will be disarray. Even the democracy we have cited in UK, when there was a vote of no confidence on the Prime Minister of UK during Brexit, the government was dissolved. They went back to the people to get an approval from the people on Brexit. You know it.
Brexit. Yes, it's called Brexit, yeah.
Yes, they went back to the people.
Yes.
That's how we build a small democracy. But I get very disappointed. And a person of your stature, you're not poor. There are MPs who have just come to Parliament who may be poor, who are looking for handouts. But for God's sake, I've known you as a serious businessman. You have your own business empire. You have told me in private how you are doing business.
That's okay, don't talk about it.
So why really? Why should you forsake the people of Kenya?
No.
Because you're not just a leader for, what's that constituency called?
The DAP.
The DAP. You know, you are a leader, national leader. You have served our party as a deputy speaker. We gave you that honor because of the respect we have for you. Now, how does it look when in a time like now, you know, when innocent young people are being kidnapped left, center, and right. Some are dying. And you know that without this Gen Z, Farah, you know the kind of laws we'll be having today. You know the pain that we would have inflicted on Kenyans through those taxation measures. And then you come on with that background and tell Kenyans that you have no regrets. I mean, honestly, I expected you to. I expected you, Farah, as a man of credibility, to in fact tender an apology to Kenyans and say you regret that you are among Kenyans, members of parliament who voted yes, who caused these Gen Zs to come out in anger to demonstrate. We lost lives of how many? Is it 34?
41.
41 of them. You should be tendering an apology, but you come to the media show, you are not showing any remorse, and you are telling Kenyans you have no apology. I'm very disappointed with you this morning.
All right. We'll give a chance for a moment.
I really want to say what has happened to Parliament and what has happened to Kenya is very historical, unprecedented, and has changed things dramatically. There's only one place I want to blame the state. You see, when the young people came together, and I want to say that a lot of these young people are highly educated, although some of them come from poor backgrounds, most of them belong to average Kenyans. Most of them are children of the military, others are children of police, and common Kenyans. President Ruto had promised that no people will be thrown to the river, Yala. He, as somebody who has been in the government, knows very well how state operation work. And I can assure you what has happened recently, including this weekend in Makueni, where an MCA was kidnapped for 3 days, tortured and eventually dumped in Makindu. And from the discussions he had with these people, you'll know clearly who they are. One of the Gen Zs, some poor child who has been kidnapped, and these kidnappings are happening during the day, and people can see on their cameras to that effect, and nowadays their phones, has been found thrown into a quarry, you know, dead somewhere. You know, the moment you know, even the ones who are shot, Rex was buried on Friday in Machakos. He was actually on his way to work, where he works, and found this trouble in town. And as a curious Kenyan, wanted to really know. But the policeman who shot him supervised to make sure that he bled to death, and even said, let him die. And you know, this policeman is still around, has not been arrested, has not been charged. So when you do these killings to these modern children and the Gen Zs, you actually irritate them very badly, and they see injustice in totality. They don't see hope in the current government. And by the way, most of the Gen Zs supported Ruto very much. And they had a lot of hope, and they had a lot of expectation, because they identified themselves with him in terms of coming from poverty, like many of us, and growing. But now when there would have been a better way of handling the Gen Zs. If it was President Moi, I'm sure he would have withdrawn this bill, gone into a discussion with the Kenyans, and then later on reintroduce it when there is an agreement. The biggest problem is no one appreciates the current constitution. You know, the constitution gives the power to the people, and then donates it to the president and donates it to the members of parliament. And that's why Kenyans are so annoyed with the members of parliament. They walked in there. And the damage they have caused, if you go to the house, you'll be shocked. And in fact, if they met some of the MPs, trust me, although we have no IBC, we would have had quite a number of deaths of members of parliament. And therefore, that sort of hunger is not something you can just sweep under the carpet and tell people get lost. These young people are 72% up to the age of 35. And now we are challenging them. Instead of showing this sort of hunger, register as a voter. Next time, you know, take your ID, and next time participate in voting with this same annoyance. So I don't want to challenge that there's something not right in the country, and a formula has to be found of making it right. Killing innocent blood, it will not even please God.
Thank you.
Because most of these kids are very innocent. And therefore, we must have a way forward, but not the sort of rubbing we can see. Now, one of the things which happened, and let me finish on this one, was, you know, where in Embu, where the chairman of UDA comes from, most UDA officers have been touched by young people. One must be asking themselves, why will young people do that? And recently they just supported this party very strongly. There must be something wrong. Something must be addressed somewhere if the nation has to be gotten right, and if the nation has got to be back to its tracks.
I can see we have just a few minutes before we take a short break. Can I run us by another story?
I have to rebut. Yeah, okay.
This rebuttal will take forever.
You can't have a pack of lies that basically passes on, and you keep it like that.
Is it a lie that children are dead?
No.
Is it a lie that there are kidnappings in the country? Even Makwete have lost 4.
You see, look at this now.
Makwete have lost 4 young people who were the hope.
No, but I haven't said the lies that I'm talking about. I did not say deny the death of these people, these young people. But I've said, when you say
did the young people come to parliament? They did.
Dan Mazo, can you just give him time also to have his rebuttal?
You know the problem
what are the pack of lies?
The pack of lies is that, to begin with, we changed all those offensive pieces, clauses in the finance bill. We changed it well in advance through the committee. So to say that we were passing a bill that essentially is offensive to Kenyans, it was offensive to all of us. We all had issues with that. And told the committee, go back, sort these things out, we'll never pass these things. And they sorted it out.
But
hang on a minute. Mm-hmm. So to say that we were passing an obnoxious bill, finance bill, is a pack of lies. You know, and it's good that we, you know, they say that by the time the truth is putting on shoes, falsehood has already troubled half the globe. You get my point? We said no. This has got to go, this has to go, this has to go. And this is normal in all finance bills throughout our history. You get my point? Right. So we did not have an issue.
Yeah,
the victory was already there. The victory was already there. But you see, when you push something that already has been sorted out, you're looking for something else. You're not looking for changing this. You understand my point?
So why did the president then not sign it into law? Why has the president forced the members of parliament to eat up their vomit? He has thrown them under the bus. Why? Because the president realized he had been misled by these people. Has this law died? Has this law died? No, it is not dead. After 14 days, it will become law, unless Parliament reconvenes and follows what the President
Well, we discussed that because I can see also there has been a reply on Otina Molo's letter to the Speaker. And when we circle back, we shall be looking at that as well. The latest development also with the task force on the public debts.
The President should have stood by his law up to today. Why has he not stood by his law?
All right, Farah Malim. But Farah Malim, you know, everyone is in agreement that the finance bill was amended. Yes,
even after amendments, there was still issues.
Which everyone is in agreement. Okay, Farah Malim.
Even the levy.
Oh,
you know,
all right. Can I have just one in edgeways here?
The levy.
Right, we'll discuss about the road levy later. But Farah Malim, it is just an epitome of the restive situation that the country was in. I mean, the underlying, you know, negative undercurrents that were flowing. It is not about the finance bill.
What is the basis?
Was the tip of a scale. It's all about governance. It's all about the profligacy that we've seen from the government, the opulence, decadence that has been there. This has all contributed. There is a confluence of issues that came to bear also on the finance bill as well. That was a tipping point. Farah Malim, are you in agreement? That yes, you said, okay, you sorted the finance bill with those contentious clauses, but still,
no, pick up another issue. Listen to me. Listen.
Can we take a short break because the music is up? Let's take a short break. When we circle back, of course, we continue with that as I serve you tea. Time for tea.